Hi, I would like to call this one Confessions of a Rereader. When I was young, I used to reread books all the time. I would say that maybe 60 to 70% of all the reading I did was rereading, and it's a habit that I've kind of found hard to kick. So today I want to share with you some books that I've reread more times than I can probably count, some books that I want to reread but I won't let myself do that yet, and some books that I really do need to reread. So here's some books that I've reread a bajillion times. First of all, we have The Host. As you can tell from the spine, I really like reading this book. It is quite big, but by the time I finish it, all I want to do is start it again. I love the characters, I love the world. I'm pretty familiar with it at this point. Wouldn't even mind starting it again today. Short summary for those who haven't heard about it yet. It's often described as sci-fi for people who don't like sci-fi. It's about an alien race that takes over planets peacefully by implanting themselves into the inhabitants of the planet and just experiencing life there. So there's a group of rebels. One of the rebels gets found. An alien is implanted into her body slash mind, but instead of fading away, which is what usually happens, she sticks around. So now it's this alien called Wanderer and a girl called Melanie stuck in the same head. The alien is tasked with giving up as much information as possible so they can find and catch the rebels, and obviously Melanie is trying to stop her from doing that. I think I've probably read it at least once a year since the year it came out, which was 2008. Then we have Surprise Surprise, The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I have read this so many times. I read it before it came out because I had a manuscript. I read it when it came out, and afterwards probably another 2 times, and I read it for my dissertation, and then I reread it, and I think I recently reread it before the film came out, so yeah, this is a favorite. Then Hark of Vagrant by Kate Beaton. Excellent literary and historical cartoons. This is one of the funniest things I've ever read. I think I've read it 3 times now. I will probably reread it again next year. Then we have Let It Snow by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Myracle, which I reread every Christmas. It's not one of my ultimate favorite books or anything, but I don't have a lot of Christmassy books, and this one always does the trick. And then of course we have Divergent. I think I read it 1 or 2 times when it just came out, then I had to reread it before I read Insurgent, then I had to reread it before Allegiant came out. Never quite got around to reading Allegiant, and then of course I reread it before the movie came out. This is such a quick read. I can read this in a day, maybe 2 days, so whenever I just need a bit of distraction, this always works. So now we have some books that I am dying to reread, but I won't let myself because I have too many unread books. First of all, Never Let Me Go. I absolutely love the movie, also really liked the book. Just kind of want to sink my teeth into it. The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides, obvious choice. Loved this when I read it for the first time. I think it made its way into my top 10 favorite books of all time. I will reread this eventually, but I'm saving it for later. And then, of course, Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, which I read pretty quickly the first time, and I didn't know too much about it when I read it for the first time. What I enjoy most about rereading is already knowing what's gonna come, so I'm not that impatient to reach the end and I can pay more attention to other stuff. And then finally we have 2 books that I do need to reread. They're both final parts in trilogies. The first one is Shades of Earth, which is the final part in the Across the Universe trilogy. I only read this once and I want to do a review of it, but I don't think I remember enough about both my reaction and the actual story. And also this is a pretty quick read, so that one is on the list. And then of course, we have Mockingjay. Same story for this one, only read it once. Besides not really liking it, I don't remember too much about it, so I will be reading this before the movie comes out. So in the comments, let me know, how do you feel about rereading? What percentage of the books that you read in a year would you say are rereads? And what do you think is the book that you've reread most? If you want to keep up with what I'm reading, you can follow me on Goodreads, which is just goodreads.com/booksandquills. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you guys later. Doei!